sahlan and welcome. My name is Dave Sirio and I'm the Curator of Education here at the Arab American National Museum, which is the first and only museum of its kind in the entire country that's dedicated to telling the history, culture, and contributions of Arab Americans. The museum itself was opened May 5th, 2005. We are a Smithsonian-affiliated institution. We are also accredited by the American Alliance of Museums. And lastly, we're an institution of access that's been around for 50 plus years, providing social services to the community. Today, we're going to take a look at our exhibit, Living in America, that talks about the various Arab American cultures and traditions. So here we are in our Living in America exhibit, specifically in our kitchen part of this exhibit. And this exhibit at large really talks about this idea of Arab American culture. I'm sure we've all said that word before, we've all talked about that word culture, but what does it mean? What is culture? What is culture to you? Everybody has their own definition of culture. And for many Arab Americans, food is one of the staples, one of the major pieces of Arab American culture. It's a way that we bring family and friends together. It's a way that we identify through our food, through our cuisine. So food in general is a really important part of various cultures. Food is of course important to us and our family, but it's also an extension of who we are when we have guests that come over, right? So if you've ever been to an Arab American house or gone over to a friend's house, oftentimes you're fed very generously with food. It's one of the best ways that we can do to A, make sure our guests feel welcome and happy, but B, also again to display who we are, our culture, and do it in the most inviting and delicious way. The Arab American community is extremely diverse, so there's never going to be a statement that's like, all Arab Americans eat this, or all Arab Americans do this with their culture. There's a lot of differences, and a lot of times there's a weaving in of various cultures, whether it's multiple Arab cultures or Arab and American cultures. As an example, with my family, when we have holiday dinners together, what we do is we have traditional like American type things, but then we also add like an Arabic flair to it. So for example, with when we make turkey, we have turkey, which is very traditional for a lot of folks for different holidays, but instead of like traditional American stuffing, we'll use hashwi, which is like a blend of lamb and rice that's seasoned really well, and we'll stuff the turkey with that versus like traditional American stuffing. So another aspect of Arab American culture that's really important is this idea of coffee and tea. Coffee and tea is very traditional. It's often given to guests when we have guests that come over to our house, or if the family is just kind of hanging out. Community storytelling kind of tells us one idea of why our coffee and tea is really common is it's a sign that we want you to stay longer, right? Because it's a very hot drink. You can't just down it and take off, but you need to sip on it and wait for it to cool. And it creates a very relaxed atmosphere. It creates the opportunity to have more food. It creates the opportunity to just kind of be in the moment. And so that's really cultural for a lot of Arab Americans. This tradition of food continues kind of beyond the typical Arab American kitchen and populates within grocery stores. So if you come to Dearborn, which is where the museum is located, or if you go to the immediate community, you'll see a lot of restaurants and grocery stores that contain Arab and Arab American products. You'll also find things that are non-Arab, right? So again, you kind of have that blending of Arabic things, right? Like groceries that you can't find anywhere else, but you might find in an area that has a large population of Arab Americans. And then you'll also find typical things you'll find in literally every single grocery store, right? So again, it's kind of this blending of the two. So there's a rich history of entrepreneurship in the Arab American community, again, with grocery stores, bakeries, spice shops, and that has continued up until present day. You also see a blending of cultures when it comes to the Arab American youth. So you see a blending of cultures. One of our exhibits specifically that highlights Fortson High School. So Fortson High School has been around for a very, very long time and historically has had various ethnic and racial communities at Fortson. Today, it's primarily Arab American. Many of those Arab Americans are Muslim. And so there's a really great story in our exhibit that highlights this blending of Arab and American culture. So this exhibit talks about the Fortson High School football team, and specifically when they were playing football during the month of Ramadan. So Ramadan is the holy month of fasting for many Muslims who are practicing. The idea is that you don't have food or water, among other things, from sunup to sundown. And these football players specifically, many of them who were Muslim, were not eating or drinking while either playing football games or during practice. So for these Arab American football players, their dedication to the sport of football, but also observing their culture and their traditions, allowed them to navigate being Arab American and playing football at the same time. For more information on these stories and much more, please visit the Arab American National Museum's website at arabamericanmuseum.org or come visit us in person.
This program was made possible by a grant from CTN, the Community Telecommunications Network.